Hello there, welcome to my channel, Mo Moon. My name is Mo, welcome. Just so you don't get disoriented, I am currently in my apartment room. I am staying in my partner's condo, so this is my apartment room. And when you see me in a more clean, more modern, more minimal space, that is my partner's condo. So we are planning on moving. So I'm kind of moving from one place to the other because almost all my stuff is in this apartment room, and I only have what I need to work and to go through day by day at the condo. And because the condo was being staged for viewing so that people could come see if they want to buy it, we are really not allowed to have anything personal there besides the crystals that I put there, but a minimal amount of crystals. But yeah, so that's, I don't want to disorient you if you're wondering where I'm at, what's going on. That is the situation. And if you watched, I have 2 vlogs up on the channel. If you've watched my vlogs, you kind of know a little bit more in detail about my personal life. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce this book that I just read called Ambrosia's Book of Witchflight by Jasmine Ambrosia. Sorry for the glare. It's called Ambrosia's Book of Witchflight, Traveling the Other World. And it's a beautiful cover. I believe these are her hands because she has permanent henna tattooed on her hands. So I think these are a representation of Ambrosia's hands. Yeah, so this is a picture of her. As you see, she's really beautiful. And not only is she beautiful, but she wrote an amazing book. So I wanted to introduce this book and do a little review about what this book's about, just so that if anyone out there Googles it, they can find out a little bit more about this book. I don't know if other people have done reviews about it in video form, but I wanted to do a review for Ambrosia because she asked me to review it, and for Aradia Arcanum, the Witch of Dark Light, because she wanted to know after I read it what I thought about it. So if not for those 2 people, anyone else who's interested can watch this review. So I'm not used to doing reviews, but honestly, I just like how beautiful she is. Like, she's gorgeous. Anyways, honestly, this book is amazing. I'm a witch. Okay, I've been a witch for almost 4 or 5 years. I'll have to kind of do the math to specify if it's 4 or 5, but it hasn't been very long. And I suggest this book to anyone who's starting out in witchcraft, just as I am, because I feel like I'm still very young to the craft with 4 or 5 years under my belt. I'm not sure how long Ambrosia's been practicing, but she does have a YouTube channel called Jasmine Ambrosia. And she also, you could follow her on Instagram, and she's also on Patreon, and she has, I think, a shop that she works at. So she does a lot. She's a busy witch. And if you want to find her on social media, you can. This is her name. I'll leave either a link to the book in the description box down below, or where you can find it, this book, but you can find it on Amazon. I would say that if you aren't a witch, you would probably still appreciate this book, but if you are a witch, you will especially appreciate this book. As a beginner witch myself, I had never heard of Witchflight before, and this is Ambrosia's Book of Witchflight, Traveling the Other World by Jasmine Ambrosia. So this is a book about witch flight, but the first part of the book is a more personal, and I'm not going to say more personal, but it's more about her personal life and how she got into witch flight, and you know, who inspired her to do so, and as far as I can remember. And then I've read it once. So, and then the second part is about, I don't know if they're in parts, but there's a part about the kingdoms in the other world, which is where you're supposed to travel as a witch on Witchflight. And so there's these kingdoms, and she goes into description about the kingdoms. And when I started reading about the different kingdoms and the names of the kingdoms and what they were like and who inhabited them, honestly, it reminded me of C.S. Lewis's books, The Chronicles of Narnia, because it's just amazing how she describes the kingdoms in such amazing detail. And that was really special to me. And then she also described the Hallowed Woods, which is in the center of the four kingdoms. And the Hallowed Woods is where she met the spirits of the Hallowed Woods. And also there can be from the Hallowed Woods, but they can also be found in the kingdoms or on this earthly plane. So it's called, in layman's terms, it's called the Spirit Codex. And in the Spirit Codex, she talks about the virtue, the element, the virtue of the spirit, the element of the spirit, what the spirit is specialized in, what the spirit looks like, and what the spirit's fetch is, if I can remember. And as a witch starting out, the first part of the book kind of gives you a description about how it works during Witchflight. And it's really interesting because after reading this book as a new witch, I am completely prepared, and I actually have gone on a witch flight. And I was inspired to do that by this book because I wanted to meet a couple of the spirits that she had mentioned in the Spirit Codex. And so if you're wondering if you're going to be able to know how to do it, she gives you the directions how, and she offers several options as to how you can do it. And then if those options maybe aren't of interest to you, she has more options at the back of the book where she has recipes for potions that help you go into Witchflight or relax. And at the last part of the book is a ritual and how you can connect with the four kingdoms. And it's really interesting because when she mentioned the four kingdoms, I don't want to give too much of the book away, but she was telling you why, as if you're doing a ritual or if you're doing a spell, when you call in the four quarters, earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, and the elemental spirits of those elements, you understand where your magic comes from when you are performing magic. So it's really like informative. It's really, I think she said she doesn't consider herself to be a teacher, if I'm not mistaken, through this book, but she really taught me how to do this. And I felt more inspired because I was like, I didn't know. She talks about the witches' council, who are witch spirits who guide witches through their still voices, their still whispers. And I mean, it's just packed full of so much interesting, legit witch stuff from a practicing witch, a high priestess, she calls herself. And probably other people call her that too, because she is a high priestess. So of a coven that she's in. And I found all this out through this book, but also through her YouTube channel and her Patreon. But honestly, I suggest this to new witches. And I also suggest this to witches who are seasoned and who have been on the path longer than myself. Because wouldn't you want to read about what she's experienced in the Hallowed Woods and in the kingdoms in the other world, and to compare if you've done this before, just like she has, as she's probably been doing this for a long time, because her Spirit Codex has over like 50 spirits in it. So she's met a lot of spirits in the other world. And so wouldn't you want to see what other witches are, or read what other witches are experiencing, so that you can compare that with your own experience in the other world and the other spirits that you might have met. And I believe she has a project coming in the future, going into more detail about the spirits and whatever other information people might have regarding the other world. But I think as a witch, it's really important to support other witches that you feel drawn to, and to find out what they've experienced, especially in Witchflight, because it's important it's like a map. This book is like a map which kind of gives you a layout of the other world. And if you've never been there, you kind of know what to expect. And also your experience there might be different, and you might observe different things that maybe aren't mentioned in this book. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to make this review too long, but basically it's broken up into sections, but I don't think it's physically broken up into sections. I think it's just chapter by chapter. There's also a part about the different moons. There's the Spirit Codex. She talks a little bit about Sabbats, the 4 kingdoms. She talks a lot about the woods, as a high priestess, her practices in the woods. I mean, it's just a really great book. It's my favorite book up to date. Ambrosia's Book of Witchflight. If you want to see how she describes her book, because she does it very eloquently and a little bit more to the point than this review is, but you can see what she says about her book, and hopefully this review was helpful for you. I bought this book on Amazon, so you can purchase it on Amazon. I have no problems with Amazon, so that's where I bought the book. I believe she was talking about signed copies, but I don't know if she's doing that, or if she did do that. But yeah, I hope I haven't forgotten anything about this amazing woman, Jasmine Ambrosia. But on her YouTube channel, if you want to know a little bit, she does seances, she does the vlogs, she does videos about being a witch and the witch virtues, and she does hauls, she does all kinds of stuff. So go check out our YouTube channel if you're interested. If you're even curious about this book, I would suggest buy it. You won't regret it. All right, bye. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you later.